The Iron Beast, the shocking rise and ruthless power of Johnnie O. Jackson. In a sport flooded with monstrous physiques and colossal egos, few names carry the raw, bone-crushing weight of Johnnie O. Jackson. But his story isn't just about muscle. It's about madness, iron, and a journey that pushed the limits of human strength and sanity. You've heard of legends like Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler, or Phil Heath. But there's one name whispered with awe and fear backstage. A man whose sheer brute strength could break not only records, but bones. Johnnie O. Jackson. The man was a walking slab of granite, feared not just for his shredded back or tree trunk arms, but for what he did in the powerlifting dungeon, where champions were made and torn apart. Born on January 30th, 1971 in Hamilton, New Jersey, Jackson's childhood was far from the limelight. Raised in the shadows of hardship, he wasn't born a freak. He built it, set by set, rep by grueling rep, forging his body like a weapon. His rise wasn't glamorous, it was brutal. The gym wasn't a playground, it was a war zone. And Johnnie was the last man standing. But here's what made him terrifying. While most bodybuilders feared heavy weights for risking injury or aesthetic imbalances, Jackson chased them down like a man possessed. He didn't just train with bodybuilders. He trained like a power lifter, throwing around weights that would make even top Olympians flinch. He wasn't called the world's strongest bodybuilder for nothing. Johnnie didn't just compete in bodybuilding shows. He also stepped onto powerlifting platforms and dominated. He deadlifted over 800 pounds. Let that sink in. A man with veins ripping through his arms and abs like an anatomy chart, walking onto stage with striated muscle and pulling half a car off the ground like it was a warm-up. If bodybuilding was art, Jackson was a savage sculptor, carving muscle with iron and violence. In the mid-2000s, when the world was hypnotized by the rivalry of Ronnie Coleman and Jay Cutler, Jackson stood in the shadows, the silent executioner. While they posed with grace, he trained with chaos. Ronnie may have been stronger in his prime, but even Ronnie Coleman himself once said, "Johnnie is the strongest bodybuilder, pound for pound, on the circuit." At the 2006 Montreal Pro, Jackson showed up not just peeled, but possessed. His back looked like a topographic map of war zones, thick ridges, deep trenches, and a density that defied biology. And yet even then, critics said his legs were too small, that he didn't have the symmetry. But Johnnie wasn't interested in pleasing the judges. He was there to shock the crowd. And when he hit his rear double biceps pose, jaws dropped. Every fiber in his back looked ready to explode. But the true insanity of Jackson's story isn't just what he achieved, it's what he endured. In 2009, during a deadlift training session, Johnnie's grip gave out and the barbell slipped violently, nearly tearing his bicep. Most athletes would have quit. Doctors told him to slow down, to ease back, to be careful. Jackson looked them dead in the eye and returned to training twice as hard. That's the kind of rage and grit that made him a legend. He wasn't just bodybuilding, he was surviving. While other competitors focused on the glamour, Johnnie stayed raw. No flashy social media tricks, no drama, just sweat, steel, and silence. He trained with BranchWarren, another savage, and their sessions were the stuff of nightmares. No AC, no music, just the sound of grunts, clanging plates, and screaming muscles. Jackson didn't win Mr. Olympia. But if there was a crown for unbreakable willpower, he'd wear it in gold. He claimed victory at the 2006 Montreal Pro, 2012 FIBO Power, and finally, at 2017 Arnold Classic South Africa, at the age of 46. That win was more than just a trophy. It was a middle finger to time itself.